The first few days of high school French gripped me like nothing had before. The idea that you could say such different sounds and someone could understand you. It was like a magical code. In my first year of college, a requirement of my French major was to take another language. I decided to study Spanish for a year in Mexico, and thus my journey began. At age 18, knowing no Spanish, I took a train from southern Minnesota to Mexico City. I'm not so brave now. It took 3.5 days and passed through landscapes I'd never seen. The oil wells of Texas, the desert of northern Mexico. I wasn't in a sleeping car and there was no air conditioning, so we rode through the desert with the windows open and all strangers bonded in our misery. I stayed with a lovely old Mexican family which had fallen on hard times and rented rooms to gringos. I attended classes for foreigners at the National University, but by Christmas time I had grown very homesick and returned home. But what happened was I had fallen in love with the Mexican people and the language. I kept French as a second major, but the Spanish language was my passion and has continued to be throughout my life. My soon-to-be husband, Dan, and I left our respective graduate schools to settle down and start our family. The care of my children, and eventually my parents, became the center of my life. Still, my love of language persisted, and when the time and financial resources were right, I continued my education and received a master's and doctorate in Hispanic studies. With Dan's retirement, we moved from Rhode Island to central New York, and I began teaching Spanish part-time at Colgate. For the first time since my teen years, I had the resources and freedom to travel, and my first destination was Peru. At Brown, I had studied the Chilean poet Pablo Neruda, and was thrilled to visit Machu Picchu, the site of his great poem. I have also gone to Argentina and Spain, and returned to Mexico a few times. My first trip to Mexico ended more quickly than anticipated, but it was only the beginning of my journey. The Hispanic culture I was introduced to then has continued to inspire me, and the Spanish language is still my magical code. The journey continues.